It says not to shake it, but we always do. We also don't forget to degas it. That was a pretty sloppy pour, but that'll get the job done. A little bit of degassing. Now we're gonna microwave it. We get our protective gloves, eyewear, and we got our fan running, and then we're gonna degas it again just to make sure there's no bubbles in this plastisol. And this is the 312 saltwater blend from Bait Plastics. We're using that because today we're gonna be doing technically four different molds, and we wanna have these baits be a tougher bait because they're bigger bait for saltwater. Starting with 1 minute on the clock, and I'm doing 1 cup at a time because this is a tail mold that then goes into the full body bait mold, and we're going to shoot the bodies onto the tail mold. So I want to show you guys how we do that. And I also want to give you guys some tips and tricks along the way as we shoot these baits because they are a bigger body bait. You ready to see what they are? First bait we're going to shoot is the 7-inch curly tail grub, and we have a ribbed body one here, but there's also a smooth body. And to go along with this mold, we have the new 7-inch curly tail mold. So this will work with either the smooth body or the ribbed body curly tail grub in 7 inches. And this is a 4-cavity mold, so you can pound out a lot more tails really fast, put the tails into the full mold, and then shoot the bodies onto the tails. The other mold we have is, can you guess it? It's the 9-inch curly tail grub mold. And here it is. All 9 amazing inches of this curly tail grub. And again, there's a smooth body version of this also. And to go hand in hand with that guy, oh, that's the wrong mold. Hold on. We have this, which is actually the 7-inch curly tail grub mold. I showed you them backwards. You know what I'm doing now. We're shooting these today, and I'm gonna bring you along on the journey. You can see how the top of the plastisol is getting very hot and the bottom is still cool. We want to make sure to mix that so that we're evenly heating the entire cup of plastisol. Otherwise you'll start scorching or burning the top part. And we're just using a butter knife to stir this. Another 30 seconds on the clock. We're going to start off with the tail. So we'll start off with the 4-cavity 7-inch. I got it correct this time, guys. 7-inch tail mold, and we're going to throw 2 bar clamps on there, 1 on each side. And I want to show you quick my clamping pattern. So we're going 1 above center line, if you drew a line across here, 1 above center line, and 1 just below center line. And that is because if you put both clamps on the top of the mold and shoot with enough pressure, and it doesn't take a lot, you'll actually open or split the mold open at the bottom and causing the plastisol to just rush out the bottom. We're at 330 degrees in here, and you can see it's starting to get clear and gel up. We actually want to get this over 350, more like 370, to make sure it's fully set up and going to start actually turning into plastisol. Got our injector here, dual injector, but we're not going to shoot dual, so what we're going to do is take 1 nozzle off, put it aside, and just use the one side of this injector. This is 370 degrees of crystal clear saltwater goodness. First thing we're going to add here is the chartreuse premium pigment from Bait Plastics here. This is supposed to be super bright. I haven't used it yet, so we'll find out. Put a bunch in there. And it's looking good. It's a little bit thin, as you can see here. So we're going to put a bunch more in there. Alright, that's looking a lot better. But we're not done there. We are also going to put this in. Fluorescent powder. This is like so insanely bright. Let me open this. You see that? That's crazy. Don't breathe this stuff in, by the way. Super yellow bugs. We're going to literally take a scoop like that and just put that right into the cup. You can see what that's done. It's added like little bitty micro flake almost to that. We're going to do 1 more scoop. Here we are. That's going to be our final product. It's a little bit translucent, but I think it looks really, really good. I think it's going to look great with the body color we picked, which I haven't even figured out. I have an idea though. Alright, we just do that back in the microwave. We want to get it back up to probably 340 degrees-ish to shoot this. If it was the super tough salt water, we'd probably go up to 350. That stuff is like a tube of toothpaste. It's very hard to work with. So we want to bring the temperature up higher than if you're using like a medium or like a soft blend of plastisol. Alright, we are at 335, cold injector, cold mold. We're gonna shoot it and see how it turns out. I always like to hold a little bit of additional pressure with my arm, just my arm weight, for 5-10 seconds after I shoot, even on smaller baits, just to make sure it's got a full good injection. We're gonna pop the clamps off this guy, set him back here, move the 9-inch tail mold up, put our clamps back on, clean out our injector by twisting the top, popping that out, set that aside. We're gonna heat the plastisol up again in the microwave for just a few more seconds to bring the temperature back up to 330, 340. Alright, that is looking like 338. That mold definitely took a little bit more volume of plastisol. It's a bigger mold, 9-inch tails versus 7-inch tails. Holding a little bit of pressure again. We're gonna take the 9-inch tails, set it back there, and we're gonna demold our 7-inch here. Let's take a look. Woo! Look at that. Kind of falling out there, but that turned out awesome. Peel them out. Ooh! You have 4 nice 7-inch curly tail grub molds. So now you can add that flare to the end of your grub. So we'll set these aside, and we're gonna demold the 9-inch. Oh yeah. Holy cow. Ooh, those also shot fantastic. And I'm really liking that color. It's very, very, very chartreusey. Alright, so we're going to shut these molds, put those aside, get our extra plastic off the table. It's time to get the 9-inch tail. Let's do that one. Also, you're going to want to lay these out on a cookie sheet so that they don't get all twisted and warped. And we're going to leave one 7 and one 9-inch out to put in the molds, put the rest away for now. Let's open these up. It's best to grab a little bit of worm oil, put a drop on the side of the tail, and then kind of work it around the tail. It'll go in the mold way easier, trust me. Alright, I got my oil worked in there. We're just going to stick it in this side of the mold. Doing the same on the 9-inch tail just to make sure it goes right in the mold. One thing you do want to check is make sure that that tail is actually all seated down in that cavity correctly. Otherwise you'll have a small gap in the mold halves. So that one is looking awesome. The 9-inch is also looking killer. And you also want to make sure there's no little chunks of plastisol or debris actually on the smooth face of your mold, because that will also prevent it from shutting properly. Alright, and if you look at the ends of the mold, you don't see a gap. If there was something in there or the tail wasn't in there properly, you'd see a little gap right in the center of the mold there. Since these are the same size mold, we can actually clamp them together and shoot them at almost the same time, basically one then the other. Awesome. Got the next cup of plastisol in the microwave, and this one I believe we're going to try the Tequila Sunrise pigment from Bait Plastics. I've never used this, I just got both these in, that's why I want to try them out. I think it's going to be a killer color, and I think we're just going to do this, and we're going to do this large purple flake. This is 0.062, which is 1/16 of an inch. It's time to put the glasses back on and get our gloves, wherever those went. You seriously do not want to get burned by this stuff. It is no fun. And since we're switching colors, don't use the same one. Either clean it off or throw it aside. Grab a new butter knife. 30 seconds on the clock. 275 degrees. Starting to gel on the top layer. 30 more seconds. That was 365. Nice and clear, but there are little bubbles, so we're gonna degas it. Ooh. Smoky. Alright, we are degassed. Make sure you always shake your pigments up. This is the Tequila Sunrise. We're going to put a couple drops, see how it is, and kind of build it from there. I'm not trying to color match anything specific. I'm just trying to make something that I think looks really awesome. So that was 5 drops. And you can see 5 drops. It's still very clear. Very translucent. Here's 5 more. Very translucent. And there's 5 more. That's a total of 15 drops. Still very translucent. I think we're going to load it up. Let's just load it up. That's a pretty good color. Still translucent, but a lot darker. And now let's do the purple flake. You kind of see what that looks like. I'm actually going to throw some medium-sized red flake in it too. I think that'll look really good. So here is the 0.04 medium-sized red flake. Let's throw that in. That's looking good. I like that. Throw that back in the microwave, bring that temperature back up to 330, 340 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we are going to shoot both these molds. And notice they're the same height molds, so we can clamp them together like this. And I have one clamp higher and one clamp lower. We're just going to go from one right to the other, shoot them both, and then we'll demold them at the same time. Well, one after the other, you know. If you didn't clean out your injector, I actually left a little bit in there. I actually left it all in there. Clean it out now. Okay, that's actually perfect. So this is 355 degrees, and I want to shoot this color a little hotter because we are going to be bonding this to the tails. And you could also preheat the mold a little bit so it's hotter, so the tails were kind of warm when it hit it. But we're just going to go ahead with this so we can show you guys the worst case scenario. 9-inch first. It sounded crazy. Did you hear that? It's like a squeaker. And I'm just going to hold a little bit of arm weight on this to make sure that it's a big cavity mold. The diameter is, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch or maybe an inch. You really want to make sure that plastic can suck down from the injector and you hold pressure on there. Go right to the next one. Fill that one up. Hold a little bit of arm weight on the 7-inch as well. I'm excited. Probably wondering, what's this bowl of water he has sitting in the corner here? The reason I have that is because when we demold these, we're going to demold them when the center of that bait is actually still liquid after only a minute or two of hardening inside the mold. We don't want them to fully harden and shrink so much in the mold. That's how it causes dent or divot on one side. We shot them a little warmer, we demold them, we throw them into water, they're going to shrink symmetrically. And then after just a little bit, 5-10 minutes, half hour even, you want to take them out of the water. If you leave them in the water overnight, your baits are going to look like milky white the next morning. So you definitely want to make sure you take them out of the water, and we'll stick them on our tray with our tails. Let's get to it. I'm not taking my gloves off because remember I said we're going to demold these. The center is going to still be liquid. If the sprue was to rip off the bait, it would not be good for your fingers. We'll do the 9-inch first. Let's do this. Oh, that is beautiful. This is amazing, guys. This color came out super good. And there's no bubbles, no dents, because we took our time and made sure the mold was set up right, the tail was in there correctly, degassed. You can see how it's actually deforming because it's still liquidy. So we're going to go right into that water. Woo! Okay, that one's in there. That was the 9-inch. And now we have this 7-inch. Crack it open. It's kind of on that side. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. And this one's a little bit smaller, so it won't be as gooey, but it's still a little gooey. That looks amazing. That is insane right there. That color combo is going to get smoked by something. Nothing here in Alabama, but maybe we'll send it up to someone in like Alaska, or we'll go up there and we'll do a little bit of halibut and lingcod fishing. That would be amazing. Don't forget to pull the rest out of your injector. And then if you're going to keep shooting more baits, you would just reload the molds with the tails and shoot the molds again and again and again on limited times. The molds don't wear out if you're not used to aluminum molds like this. They'll last basically forever, and you can get a lot of baits. I mean, that was only a few minutes and we made 2 really nice baits. And if we bought the 2-cavity version of the 7-inch, we could be making more, or multiple of the molds, we could be making way more. And we actually offer a deal where if you buy 3 mold of any mold, it doesn't have to be the same mold, it could be one tail, you know, and 2 different grub molds, you actually get 10% off your whole order, and it's always free shipping to the United States. So definitely take advantage of that. It's only been a few minutes. Let's pull these out and give you guys another peek on that. They look so good. That tail action is out of control. And then we're basically just gonna pull the body, and it's gonna come right off the sprue like that. Bust out the cookie sheet. We'll lay our bait on the cookie sheet. This sprue, don't throw this. If it was in water, don't just throw it right back in your cup, because you're gonna go microwave that and it's gonna be sizzling and popping. The water on here is gonna start boiling. You wanna set this aside and let it dry out. You can also dry it like on your shirt real quick and then set it aside for a few more minutes, or you can dry it out with like a paper towel or towel and throw it back and remelt it down and reuse that. And here is the 9-inch, guys. That looks so good. I feel like a creeper back here. I'm like trying to see where I'm at. That looks so good. And that tail, I mean, it's hard to, it's really hard to tell on camera, but this, I mean, this came out awesome. And I'm going to show you here. It's still just a little bit soft on the inside, so I might leave it in there for a few more minutes. But I think we're gonna be good to pull the sprue off, so let's do that right now. Ugh, there it is. Throw that on the cookie sheet. Remember, dry off the sprue. I almost threw it in there. And there they are, the final product. And we still have more tails. We could shoot some more baits quick, but that's what I wanted to do for you guys today. I wanted to walk you through how to shoot these bigger grubs like this. And you can see there's no denting or anything, so just follow that formula. If you ever have a problem, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you. Also want to let you know that those new molds are available. The 7-inch curly tail mold and the 9-inch curly tail grub tail mold. They're both 4 cavity. That's all we're going to make for those two. Not going to do like a 2 cavity or single cavity tail, because you want to shoot a bunch of tails and be done with it. Those are on the site now. Go check them out. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you want to see next in the comments below. And as always, guys, have an awesome day.